Okay, great. Welcome again. It's so great to see most of you. It sounds funny when you say that because it sounds like you're saying it's not good to see some of you, but it's actually good to see you're here. Just wish we could see your faces, okay? And we're going to cover some awesome stuff this morning. Open up myvectordemo.com and the phoning tab. So click on the phoning tab. And here's what I've found, okay? One of the things I've found is that some people feel really nervous when they get on the phone, right? So anybody here have nerves when you get on the phone? Raise your hand. You can be honest. Okay, so we all have a little bit of nerves when you get on the phone for various reasons. One, it's perceivably I'm going to have a seizure if I keep dealing with, okay, thank you, Raquel, for stopping your camera because holy moly. Okay, I was going to, yeah, that's it's a touchy subject too, because I know some of it, we've had seizures. Okay, so yeah. All right, good. So let me go ahead and say that sometimes the phone is a touchy subject. For one, let's jot down perceived negative, not connotation, but perceived, negative emotions surrounding the phone, right? Here's one reason why some people sometimes have a perceived negative emotion surrounding making phone calls, okay? One, it's delayed gratification, right? It's delayed gratification because if you set a demo, you got to wait till you go to the demo, and then you got to do the demo, and then you got to make a sale, and then you get your pay raise, and you get your paycheck, and you get your results, and you sell Cutco, right? But it's an additional step that's necessary, 100% necessary. So let's first of all jot down next to that delayed gratification idea that it's 100% necessary to make phone calls. Demos don't set themselves, right? You can't hope and pray for demos without making phone calls. You've got to actually get on the phone, right? So number one, it's delayed. So even the top reps in the company, like if you're new, so if you sold less than 50 grand, raise your hand. You're new, right? You sold less than 50 grand. That's most of us, right? So you're new at the job. And in fact, people that have sold 50 grand, they're like, no, I realize how new I am. I haven't even sold 500 grand yet. People that have sold less than 500 grand would classify themselves as being new to the job, just so you know. By the way, a teacher who's been teaching for 4 or 5 years still considers themselves new. A police officer who's only been a police officer for 4 or 5 years would still consider themselves to be new. And a lawyer who's been a lawyer, or a doctor who's been a doctor for less than 5 years, they would consider themselves new. Can everyone like soak that in? People that have been on the job less than 5 years in most industries would consider themselves as new. So if you've been on the job less than 5 years, you're freaking new, okay? And so newer reps have this thought that, I'm new, I don't, it's not comfortable. And I want to make sure that everyone understands you're still new at the job until you've sold 50 grand, 100 grand, who knows, right? And on that note, another perceivably negative feeling around the phone is that, I'm running out of people to call. So let's put that down. I'm running out of, and like I was saying, let me go back to, so write that down. I'm running out of people to call. But the first negative emotion, I want to touch one more thing on that. Guys, when you have even the highest level reps still feel like, oh man, I got to make phone calls to get my appointments, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So I'm trying to make sure you understand that even reps that have been around and sold hundreds of thousands of dollars, they still feel like, man, I'm not excited about the phone because it's still a delayed gratification, right? And delayed, that's usually what's worth waiting for. Is everyone with me on that? Isn't that true? Like almost anything that's got delayed gratification is usually way better of a prize than the today rewards of things, right? Delayed gratification usually has better results anyway. Okay, so phone time's definitely, you could write this down next to that emotion of the delayed gratification. Phone time is a means to the end that you want. It's a means to the end of your pay raise. It's a means to the end of your sales success. It's a means to the end of a scholarship. It's a means to the end of you paying for your mission, for your wedding, for your college, for your car, for your debt to society, for your toys, for your anything you want to get or pay for. Thank you for 2 people hearing the joke there. Okay. And if the debt to society is a speeding ticket, it is what it is, right? Okay, hopefully it's nothing more than a speeding ticket. Okay, but my point is you want to, the means to the end. So you need to realize the phone time is the most important thing. It's the delayed gratification. It has the best prize at the end. And you should just be like, man, I can't wait to make phone calls. You should be that way. Doesn't mean you are, right? It's frustrating. You're like, oh, I got to make phone calls, right? So the next thing, like I already said, the perceived negative emotion could also be, I'm running out of people to call, right? And then the last thing is I'm not good at it. I'm going to touch on those two today. Running out of people to call. And number two is I'm not good at it. So we'll work on skills at the end. Is everyone okay with that? I'll probably do some role playing for the last 10 minutes today. And I'm just going to like try to role play like literally 4 or 5 calls in a row, like just bam, 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 bam. Let's play around here. Okay. But let's go back to I'm running out of people to call. And the answer is, if you ever feel like you're running out of people to call, that is when you must go back to the well. There's 2 ways to get more people to call. One, you go back to the well because you literally, and I need you to write down, and I want you to write this down in a positive, they talk about, when you're going to lose weight or when you're going to get in health. I am a healthy person. I am a healthy eater. I am, you want to affirm the results that you want to get someday. I'm good at referrals. I used to say that our team needed to get a lot of referrals because before we had virtual demos and you could do demos across the country, I was in Provo. Half the campus at BYU and UVU are from people out of town. They couldn't drive to California to do a demo, right? They couldn't do demos with their people because their people were 5 states away. They couldn't do. So I had to get our team really good at getting referrals. The first thing I did is I stated in the affirmative, I affirmed that we were the best office in the country at getting referrals. So reps would come here from California, from Idaho, from Arizona, have no one to show. They had 5, 6 people. And I said, we are awesome at getting referrals. And our averages went through the roof because I just decided as a manager, we're going to get our team that good at getting referrals. And everybody got referrals. How many of you guys would love to affirm yourself to say, I'm so good at getting referrals is ridiculous. Well, before we worry about getting more referrals, you need to understand there are thousands and at very least hundreds of people that you have to call. But it's just there are people that you so far have been not comfortable calling. So the first affirmative I want you to write down is, I have hundreds of people to call. Everybody write that down. I have hundreds of people to call. You just haven't written them down, put them in your app, and found their phone numbers yet. Let me remind you, you have not written them down, you have not put them in your app, and you have not found their phone numbers. And you haven't decided to call them even though you know their numbers. But the number one way for you to get more people to call, raise your hand if you wish you had more people to call. Raise your hand. You've had that emotion. I need more people to call. I'm running out of people to call. I don't have anybody to call. So the number one affirmation is what I just told you. I have hundreds of people to call. You could put in parentheses, I just haven't had the chutzpah to call them yet. Chutzpah is a Yiddish word for something else. Okay. Thank you, Tina, for knowing what that word is. Okay. So you just, whatever. Yeah. Use the Top Gun thing, Amanda. Don't think, just call. Don't think, just do, right? Is the Top Gun thing, right? So yeah, get over it. That's another way to put it down. Get over it. You have plenty of people to call. You just haven't been comfortable calling them, or you haven't written them down. You haven't found their phone numbers. You haven't put them in the app. And if you took 30 minutes today, slapped yourself in the face and said, I'm going to start calling people I've been chicken to call. Slap yourself in the face and say, 30 minutes, I'm going to start calling people that I've been too chicken to call. You will get results. I promise you. There are signature sets and ultimate sets on your list, in your circle of influence. You just haven't put them into the Vector Impact app, or you haven't called them. They're literally waiting to buy knives. Maybe not like praying that someone's going to call them to buy knives, but they're literally ripe, ready. They're sick of their Crapco knives. They hate them. They don't even know where to find good knives. They're literally wandering the planet, not knowing where to go, driven by the wind to and fro, driven by the wind and tossed, as James 1:6 says. Okay. They literally are like, I don't even know where to find stuff. Right. But you call them up, you do a demo. They're like, holy crap, I'm so glad you called me. I'm ready. Here's my credit card number. Give me a signature set. Give me an ultimate set, right? It's the worst thing, but I've had it happen where reps are like, oh, someone sold to someone on my list and they sold a signature set to someone that I knew and they're jealous of that person. Well, that person just decided to make a phone call. Either A, they knew the person, or B, they got referred to that person. Well, I'd rather you sell them and you'd rather you sell it to them. Does everyone get that? Okay, so you got to get over that. And as far as, being on yours, that's what we're going to work on today when I do the skills on the phone is just, we're going to make calls and we're going to practice. Okay. So you need to take 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour, whatever, and literally just figure out more people on your list that you could call and you've just been making excuses or not taking the time. Your the greatest resource you have as far as building your list of people to call is your own circle of influence. Let me explain another reason why. Because some people, when they're in a workshop like this, they're like, well, yeah, they just want me to sell to everyone I know. Yes, we do, because they would rather buy from you. There's no one on the earth they would rather buy from than you. Someday, someone else is going to call them. If not tomorrow, someone at your school, Jacob is going to call someone you know. Someone at your circle of influence within the next 2 to 3 weeks or months or whatever, Tina, is going to call people that you know, and someone's going to sell to them. Well, let's not make them wait until that rep calls them. Let's go ahead and help them make the right decision to buy Cutco now, right? And you just stop making excuses and start building your list. Let me say that again. Stop making excuses and start building your list. When I say making excuses, sometimes like, well, I don't want to bother them, or I don't, you're thinking about me, you're thinking about yourself. You're like, oh, I don't want to be embarrassed. I don't want to ruin a relationship. Guys, I've never seen Cutco hurt a relationship. How many of you have sold Cutco and your customers are texting you, calling you, loving you up at church, loving you up at family activities? Oh my gosh, I love my knives. I love my knives. These are the greatest things. I love my Cutco. Nobody's like, oh, I wish I wouldn't have bought those knives. Hey, I want to ignore Jacob at church. No one ever says that. They're running up to Jacob. Hey, I cut myself. Have you had your customers brag to you about the cuts they've put, they've cut themselves and they show you their Band-Aids. They love it. They love it. Heck, I buy new tires for my truck and I'm bragging about my tires on my truck. When someone gets a good set of knives that lasts them forever, they're bragging about their cuts. They're bragging about how good their cuts are, how much they love their Cutco. Everybody loves it. So you got to help them. And remember, the other reason why your circle of influence is your greatest way to build your names list, look at me, guys. They're going to give you better and more referrals. They're going to give you better and more referrals. They're going to give you the best referrals. They're not going to trust some stranger danger Cutco rep that they've never met before, right? To like their best, millionaire customers, their whales, how many of you know certain people that you're like, man, they're loaded? How many of you have like a short list, maybe a long list of people that just make a lot of money? Whether you've sold to them yet or not, you've got a list of people like, dude, they're loaded, they're loaded, they're loaded, they're loaded. I know people in your neighborhood, Jacob, who own Swig and they own Crack Shack and they own and they drive Ferraris and they live right by you, Jacob, just so you know, there's people right there. And you know this, right? Everybody has that list. I don't care where you live. I don't care what street you grew up on. I don't care if it's west side, east side, on the hill, down in the valley. I don't care where they live. There's a list of people that you're like, these are the best customers I have. Guys, when you do a demo for them, I don't care if you sell them a trimmer or a signature set, they could give you a hot list of leads, like a really good list. And they would rather give them to you and they won't give them to someone else. That's why your circle of influence, while I want you to sell to everyone you know, I do. And so does the company. We want you to hook up your friends and family and relatives and neighbors and circle of influence. We want you to hook them up rather than some random Cutco rep. We want you to do that. And if they don't buy, who cares? Because you know what? Even when you don't sell, you get some crazy good leads. You can get, what? I found sometimes customers like, oh man, I should buy these knives. I love these knives. I'm such a wimp for not buying these knives. Oh, I feel so bad. But you know what? I got to hook Thomas up with some awesome leads. I got to hook him up because I didn't buy anything. I totally want to hook him up. It's their own motivation. It's not you, but they're like, oh man, I want to help Tina earn her money for her mission. So I'm going to give her my best leads, my best. That's why rapport is so important in your demos. You got to connect with your customers. So they actually want to give you the best leads, and they will give them to you, Tina, and they won't give them to a stranger rep who got referred to them. That's another reason why you got to call your original list and stop just worrying about selling to them and start worrying about building rapport, because they will trust you more and buy more when you have good rapport, instead of being nervous and freaky deaky on your demos, right? And robotic and, all worried about yourself, right? When you're full on building rapport and really showing belief and conviction, what if you don't sell? You can get some hot leads, some really good lists of referrals, and they'd rather give them to you and they'll give you more. Another reason to build your list. Is everyone with me on that? So the first way to build your list is, and the best way to build your list is your original circle of influence. Make that circle this big and stop making excuses and start building your list, okay? And the second way to build your list is you got to crush it with referrals. I'm going to spend 100 seconds on this, right? Because your list is your better resource. But the better you get at getting referrals, the more confident, the more competent, the more comfortable. Let me say that again: confident, competent, and comfortable. Confident is just know that it works. Competent is knowing your approach. And comfortable is stop being a weenie. Like, just be comfortable and just be forthright and say, I'm earning money for my mission. I'm earning money for my college. I'm earning money for my wedding. I'm paying for my, I have a kid, I have kids. I'm supporting myself, right? This is how I build my business. Like, don't be afraid and just be comfortable getting referrals. Okay. It's following the approach. It's getting the app downloaded instead of like, oh, you can't get it downloaded. Okay, let's move on because I'm nervous. Guys, do the hard work, so to speak, hard work of having them download a referral or an app at the beginning of the demo, because statistically you get 1.5 or 2 times the number of referrals, because they can go bam, 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 like Snapchat, and go ding, 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 send. And they can send you those referrals through the app, rather than like you taking them down by phone and writing them down, or typing them in your phone with your fat thumbs, misspelling and misdoing the phone number, or getting them by email 2 years later, never going to happen, right? All that garbage, just get it through the referrals app, right? Through the Cutco, my Cutco Rep app, right? So just do the work, get the referrals. Okay. You guys ready for skills? You guys ready for skills? Okay. Boy, it's like someone told somebody about this referrals, this phoning workshop, and all of a sudden we got way more people jumping on Champs Club this morning. So that is awesome. And yes, thank you so much for telling me how much people love their Cutco. Another reason to be motivated to do phone time. Another reason to be motivated to do phone time, right, is because you know Cutco. So that's the end result. Write this down. The end result of phone time. It is not demos. It is not sales. It is more happy customers. Is everyone with me on that? The end result of phone time is not demos. It is not sales. It is not paychecks. It is actually more happy customers. You will help more people the more phone time you do. And the better you are at the phone approach, the less you have to call them back. Callbacks suck. Okay. Callbacks are so freaking lame. Before I bring up the screen sharing, I got to say, callbacks suck is one of my major rules about phoning. Callbacks suck. Call me Monday, call me Tuesday, call me next week, call me next month. Guys, callbacks suck for them. Please write for them. It sucks when you call them the third time, the second time, when they say, you call them at the exact time because your app tells you, call Susie back on Tuesday. So you set your thing on your phone, you do a call back, and she's like, oh, it's 7 o'clock Tuesday. I totally told Harrison to call me back. Oh, I feel so guilty because I have a life and kids and diapers and kids and soccer and dance. I feel so guilty as this phone is ringing right now. My stress level is here. And I feel so bad because I don't know when I can do a demo with Harrison. And it's the same 435-740 number that he's been calling me. Oh, I feel so bad. So rather than answering this phone and making us both feel, I'm just going to screen Harrison's phone call. And I feel bad, but now I'm screening the call because I don't have any good news for him. So that's why I'm screening his phone call. Do you guys understand? Callbacks suck for them. It's not just you. You pick up the phone, call 60 seconds, 40 seconds, 30 seconds later, ring, 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 answer machine, hang up, dang it. Maybe a swear word, but that's all that happened to you. Meanwhile, you put their stress level through the roof, right? So you don't want to do callbacks. Okay. So what is the deal with callbacks? How do you avoid them? You get better at the phone approach. Okay. You get better at the phone approach. So let's dive in. Okay. There's 4 parts to every phone call. First of all, if you ever want to really like relearn how to do phone time, there's 2 things you should do. You should reread. And can I get a co-host to mute whoever's making noise? I think I know who it is. All right. Love you. I forget who it is, but it's somebody good. I think it's, I don't know. Okay. Carter, is that Carter? Might be Carter. Okay. So good to see you, Carter. Okay. So one way to get better at the phone is to reread these phone tips. Reread them. You haven't read them since Thursday or day 2 of training. Reread the phone tips. And number 2 is take 11 whole minutes. Oh my gosh, that's so hard. 11 minutes. And watch this video. Rewatch the video. Most of us need to do better at the basic things that we know to do. We're just not doing them. How many of you guys know what I'm talking about? You're just not doing what you know you should do. And if you rewatch this video, you will make more money. So there's a little to-do list thing you could do is take 11 minutes on your own, independent study, and rewatch this phone video. Right there, it's straight on your, you click on it, open it, boom, right? And I'm not going to play it, but you get the idea, right? You just rewatch the 11-minute phone time video. All right, so let's talk about the 4. I'm going to try and do this as quick as I can. The 4 parts to every phone call. 4 parts to every phone call. All right. The 4 parts. The first part is the one that most reps forget. Why? Because when you're brand spanking new and you call your aunt and your neighbor, you're like, I don't need to build rapport with my aunt and my mom and my neighbor because I saw them today. And you told them about the job and they know you're going to call them. So you don't even bother building. Hey, Aunt Betty, the reason why I'm calling is I just got a new job as part of my training. You don't even ask them how they're doing because that's how well you know them. And that's a bad habit. So let me remind you that we develop bad habits sometimes when we're new. And the first bad habit is to not build rapport. So the good habit to develop is to spend the minutes, spend the time. And by the way, this is the first phone approach. Notice I'm spending time on that because that's the one you should be using. The one you should be using is the people that you know, kind of know. Watch me, guys, look on the screen. I'm scrolling down though, scrolling down past how to get more names and numbers, right? There's a whole tip on how to expand your names list, right? There's a whole tip how to get more names on your names list. And there's a whole nother Jedi Master section of how to handle, I already own Cutco. I've already seen Cutco. I've seen the demo 100 times, right? And that one's hilarious. I love that when they say that because I sell all the time to those people. All right, but let's go to the acquaintance phone approach. It's the same dang thing. Spend the minutes getting and building rapport. Spend them. Hey, I don't know if you remember me, but I went to school in 3rd grade with your son. I'm talking 3rd grade. I'm talking, I don't care how you know them and how long it's been because they don't care. I'm going to say this. It's like an axiom for Cutco. You guys ready for this? Any connection you have to another human being is better than a referral. It's that simple. Any connection, I don't care if it's 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago, Thomas, that you know somebody from 40 years ago, Raquel, anyone, any number of you might know people from 10, 20 years ago. That might seem like forever, but I'll tell you right now, if there's a connection that I know you from 20 years ago, I'm still more excited to talk to you than a referral because you were referred to me, right? Does everyone get that? So any connection you have to another human being is still better than a referral. That doesn't mean referrals are bad. It just means you have a better connection. Who agrees with that? Just take and erase emotion and erase Cutco from this. Any connection I have with another human being is still better than being referred to that human being. It's still better. So when you have an acquaintance that you don't know that well, hey, I don't know if my name rings a bell, but I used to go to school with your son. I dissected frogs with your daughter. And really, it wasn't dissecting. It was just stabbing it with some chemistry or biology tool and making a mess and calling it dissecting, right? But that's what you did with your group, right? And so whatever, right? And how you doing today? How's life? How's the kids? How's the summer looking? How's the winter looking? Hey, is the area flooded because of all the snow, right? Like whatever it is, right? You build rapport. And then if they love the NBA, you're talking about the NBA. If they love the NFL, talk about the NFL, whatever they know and whatever you connect with, right? With them, right? And then you jump into part 2 of the phone call. What is part 2 of the phone call? Part 2 of the phone call. Oh my gosh, I'm teaching and I'm not role playing. I'm going to do role play. I promise. Not today, but maybe tomorrow. Dang it. Okay. The second part is very simple. asking for the appointment. That's part 2. Number 1 is rapport. Part 2 is asking for the appointment. It's 6 dots, 5 dots. Do you guys see that? Go down to this one that I was showing you, the acquaintance phone approach, right? What is it? It's 4 sentences, 6 sentences. Hey, blah, 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 blah. Hey, I need to do 14 appointments by Monday. Would 2 or 3:30 on tomorrow work better for you? Would 2 or 3:30 work? Always ending with 2 times, asking for 2 times. That's the second part of every phone call. How many parts are there? 4. What's the first? Rapport. What's the second? Asking for the appointment. AFTA, asking for the appointment, right? Then the third part is handling the objection of, oh, I already own it. Oh, call me tomorrow. We don't want that one. So you read this. We don't want call me next week. So what do? Callbacks suck. So you say, I could totally call you next week, but I'm in a huge contest and I need to get 14 appointments by Friday. So would 2 or 3:30, could you squeeze me in tomorrow at 2 or 3:30? Right? This one is, hey, can you just lie to your manager? I hate that one. It's ridiculous. Your customer's suggesting that you lie to your manager. That's so stupid. Okay. But, hey, I'm not going to buy anything. Hey, that's no problem. That helps me hit my goal just by having you listen. And I'll be in and out before you know it. I love that phrase. I needed to get 14 appointments by Monday. So would 2 or 3:30 work? I need to get 6 appointments by tomorrow. Could you squeeze me in at this time, or would this time be better? Hey, it would really help me out towards my scholarship. Would tomorrow at 4 or 5:30 be better? So I'm handling the objections. The phrase that pays, Ms. Jones, I know you're really busy, but I need to get 4 appointments by Saturday, and I wanted to hit my goal. So is there any way you could squeeze me in? Notice that squeeze me in is like very frequent. Squeeze me in, squeeze me in. Don't forget the in part. Mrs. Jones, if you could just squeeze me, squeeze me in, squeeze me in. Okay, if you could squeeze me in at 4, or would 5:30 work? Could you squeeze me in tomorrow at 2 or 3:30? That's part 3, is handling the objection. Everybody here should know what part 4 is. What is part 4? What is part 4? FU. Right? Firm up. You have to firm it up. How many of you ever set a demo and been ditched? Raise your hand if you set a demo and you got ditched. Yeah. 100. Yeah, it happens. But that's because when you're new and you set up with your aunt and your neighbor, they don't, you think you don't need, and they still ditch you too, but you think you don't need to, but you need to firm up every single appointment. Hey, Ms. Jones, thank you so much. This really means a lot to me. Do you have a pen and paper handy? Good. Is Uncle Bob going to be there? Could you give me a quick thing? Could you get a pen and paper? Can I get your email so I can send you the link, whatever. Thank you so much for helping me out with this. I really am looking forward to, I would say these 2 phrases are even more important. But anytime you say, great, thanks, thank you so much, thank you so much. Go down to the acquaintance phone approach. Go down to the acquaintance phone approach. It does the same thing. Awesome. Thank you so much. And you have no idea how much this means to me. Can I get your email? Blah, blah, blah. Thank you so much. And I have us down for tomorrow at 3:30. I'm looking forward to our call, and I'll see you tomorrow. By the way, setting up in-person demos. I'll be at your house at 3:30, right? Set up in person, or if you're doing a virtual. I personally think cutting food, cutting rope, cutting leather, the more you can do in person, even if you don't have knives, you still go to their house. They'd rather feed you, give you a drink, hang out with you. And I'll tell you right now, face-to-face, I think getting referrals is also easier. Face-to-face, getting referrals is also easier. It's easier to flake on a voice or on a video versus a human. Right. So if you can do in-home appointments with people in your neighborhood, totally do that, because they'd rather feed you, give you something to drink, hang out with you. And then they're going to give you more referrals too. But FU, right? Number 4 tip for every phone call. What is part 1? Rapport. What is part 2? AFTA, asking for the appointment. What is part 3? Handling objections. And what is part 4? Firming up, making sure they write it down. Why book a demo if you're not going to do the demo? Right? That's so frustrating, to book a demo and not do the demo. Let's never book a demo and not do the demo. And of course, as I say that, that's totally utopian. We know that some things come up, people break their arms, whatever happens. But I'll tell you right now, if you firm it up really hardcore, you don't get ditched nearly as much. Less of those things happen. If customers feel like they have a better offer to do whatever, they're going to ditch you. But if you're like, this really means a lot to me, thank you so much, it really helps me out, I really appreciate your help, I'll see you tomorrow at 2:30, right? And stuff like that. that actually helps them keep their appointment for sure. Okay, guys. Hey, it's been awesome. In the next couple of days, no promises, maybe tomorrow, but it might be in the next couple of days that we will do a role play session, and we'll just go back and forth. Maybe me, maybe one of the managers, maybe you will be one of the people that models the phone call, and we can coach you and get better. Everybody fired up to learn and watch even phone skills? If you like that, then go ahead and watch Stacy's video for 11 minutes, right? Until then, but we can do another role play session on Champs Club. So listen, thank you so much for being here. I want to remind you, Salt Lake City, currently #1 in the country in our race, in our competition. Southern Rockies, #4 in the company in their competition. So both offices kicking tail, taking names, whatever you want to call it. And today is the last day of the spring campaign. We may end at #1, we may end at #2 for the campaign, but we have 35 more weeks of the year. And we're already on pace to potentially be the #1 team in the entire company. Anybody's game, anybody's race right now, but we've done an amazing job. And I say we because I haven't done very many appointments, but I feel like we've been working hard as a team, and every demo matters. Every appointment, every phone call matters to the team and the results and the, race or whatever you want to call it, competition. But last I checked, you get paid the most on the work that you do, right? Is everyone with me on that? So, nobody gets paid off each other's works. You get paid on your work, right? So you do the work, you get better at the phone call, you get better at your names list, get better at referrals, and you can have some great results this week. Today's the last day of the first campaign. Tomorrow's the first day of the second campaign. So let's get this summer going in a big way. Thanks for being on Champs Club, guys. All righty. Love, peace, and chicken grease, as we say.